In this video, we're going to cover listing pages and filters. Listing pages and filters are one of the most powerful tools inside LBM Liftoff. Filters and listing pages will allow you to write simple queries and address 80% of the reports that you want to write on something that can be on screen and usable instead of waiting for paper to print out and then go in and use it. The way listing pages work in LBM Liftoff, if I go to any one of my module screens, so in my orders and quotes screen, and to open that in a different tab as I've done up here, all I've done is gone to point of sale, orders and quotes, hit the control button and click the mouse, and it'll open it up in a new tab. So I have my orders and quotes, and this is what we call a listing page. Listing page is separated into two parts. First, there's the basic search feature, and second would be our list. Now our list is controlled through our filters. So in this area, we're looking in orders and quotes. We have our basic search, but then we have a list down here. So if I want to generate a list of orders and quotes that meet a certain criteria, I would use a filter. Filters can be created. Creating, editing, and deleting filters is all controlled by custom settings. In this case, I have all three authorities. To show you for filters right now, I'm saying in orders and quotes, I want to see everything that's in my pending filter. So if I do search now, the system is going to search through the system for orders and quotes that meet all the criteria in the filter pending. So we'll just do that to generate a result. So now these are all my orders that meet a pending status. So then how do we generate that? So within our filter, if I go into my edit filter, we would go in and say, okay, we have this view name. The view name is basically what we call the filter. So this one is obviously called pending. Then we choose columns to display when we run that filter. So not every filter has to display the same columns. You can custom choose whichever ones you want. The columns you can choose from are all the columns that are inside an order. So for example, in orders and quotes, we have the address information, we have customer order information, and these would basically be some of the header records, if you will, inside the order, or the totals of the order. As we go through, we choose which ones we want to see. So in this pending one, I chose sales order number, job, master account number, the account of person that created it, the total, when it was created, what's its current status, whether it's pending or not, and then the pending SO name, which is a nickname you can give each order while it's in a pending status. A couple of things we can do when we run this filter is we can say, you know, what do we want to display in addition? These are the 9 fields, but now we want to say, all right, well, those 9 fields in our advanced filters, we say meet the status contains pending. So we want the status to be pending, and then we also want the sales order not to contain a Q. So Q would be quotes in our sales order system, so we want to make sure that it's not a quote. So when we run this, it only shows all the sales orders. Other things we can do in our standard filters, we can do simple time filter. So for example, if I wanted to say, oh, the sales order was last modified in the last year, current year, whatever one of these you want to, or I can create a custom and just say, you know, between the 1st and the 11th of January. And it'll only pull, when we run that filter, it'll only pull those. Custom filters will stay in their custom date range, but these would always change. So tomorrow, it would be today's orders if I did yesterday. Or I want to see what the ones are tomorrow. So, for example, let's just say the sales order created time, was within, let's say, last year. So you notice it'll put the dates in. My advanced filters will say this. So when we go back, if we hit save, when we go back and say I want to run the pending now, and I want to do a search now, it'll show me all the ones that were created last year. Now a couple things. Once we have the listing page, there's a couple things we can do. We have our results, so we can work right from the listing page and do a couple of things. I can jump right into the sales order because it's bold. If I just hit and control enter there, it brings me right into that sales order itself. So I can do whatever I want to do if I want to do anything within that sales order. Or if I go back into the page, there are a couple action items. If I just want to view it, so I just want to view and say, what does this look like? I can do that one. I can do that. go in. If I wanted to edit, it'll give me edit mode. If I want to delete it, I can. And then this is just showing my status. So now if I went to a different one, so if I wanted to say, I want to look at Molly's orders. So now I went through and I changed my search criteria, my filter to say, let's look at Molly's orders. If you notice, the fields that were displayed across changed because within Molly's filter, if I open up Molly's filter, different fields were chosen. Now we can sit there and say in the advanced filters, we're just saying the counter person starts with them asking, which is Molly's sign-on name. So that I can create a filter for just Molly's orders. And then we can make them if we want them just to be pending orders, Molly's finalized orders, etc. There's many different ways you can run the filters. So once we have a filter shown up, now you can see these are all Molly's orders, but with the green checkbox, it's showing these are finished. These are already finalized and invoiced out. The other ones are open. But at any time, you can go through and look at them. We can copy our SO if we wanted to and create a new one. Again, you can jump into the sales order here, or the master account is also something we can jump right into if we wanted to from this listing page. Some other areas we can do in listing pages, if we go to master accounts. Another example we can show is I have a filter called AR aging. So let's go into our AR aging filter and see when we go inside the AR aging filter, we've chosen these accounts to show what we want to do. We haven't done any time restraints on it. In our advanced filters, we said the total load is 0 and the relationship is not a child. So if we go back into the filter, and then we say, okay, I want to show me all those records. So this one just happens to have 30. We're showing the first 20 records. If you notice down here, I'm saying show 1 to 20 of 30 records. If I wanted to see the next 10, I would just hit the over arrow. I can also say, hey, I want to show 50 per page, and now it'll show me all 30 on that page. And if I wanted to run them all, I could show 100, etc. The other thing I can say is I just want to see it for this user or another user. But some of the other things we can do, as I haven't explained yet, is this search field. Once I've run the filter, I can then search within the results inside that filter. So for example, if I wanted to see all the master account names that started with A, I could say up top in my basic search, I could say search for A, and master account name begins with. And if I just hit search now it's going, it ran the AR aging filter, but then it also said, give me only the ones that start with A. And if you can see, now I have the accounts that start with A. Other things we can do is when you're in the basic search is only going to search the fields that are displayed. And if you notice, the fields that come down are the same fields that are displayed here. And you can only do an exact match that begins with search. But let's say you wanted to go and you wanted to say, hey, I want to do some sort of different search, maybe on a field that's not displayed here, or I want to run it on a value of all of mine. So if I do a search for my AR aging and reset my aging, I've got all these accounts here. Now let's say I want to look for everybody that's got more than $10,000 in 3 billing cycles past due. We would go into what's called the advanced search. Inside the advanced search, I can say match all of these following conditions or match anything that meets any of the following conditions. So if I wanted to say more than 3 billing cycles past due, again, now I can choose any one of the fields within the record and show what it can do. I can do more than 3 billing cycles past due, greater than or equal 15,000. And then I said, oh, you know what? I want to also see the salesperson that begins with JJ. So, but let's get rid of this one. We don't want to see this one. So if I hit fewer, it'll get rid of the last one. Now we're just going to look at all of the accounts that have more than 15,000 billing cycles past due. So as you see, when we ran that, now my results are narrowed down to just the ones that have a large past due balance. But if I wanted to say, hey, I want to know where the salesperson is, one of the quick ways you can search through this list without having to scroll up and down is just start typing the word that you want to look for. So if you notice, I started typing sales, and it came into all the things that were in sales, and these are listed in alphabetical order. So I want the salesperson, and we're going to say begins with JJ. So now if you notice, it now narrowed it down to the 2 that relate to the salesperson. Now a couple neat things we can do from here. Again, we can go in and edit the account, jump right into the account and look at the account itself. So if I was going to do this, I hit Control Enter. It opens a new tab up top. And now I'm inside the account record and I can see all the things that are related to the account that I wanted to. If I was somebody in AR, and I'll see only the fields that go to me. But if we go back into the filter, we can look and see there's a couple of things we can do that are pretty neat with inside the system. If I wanted to send an email to maybe Acme Builders, and I just want to send them a mail, and I say, yeah, I want to use it to the email related to the account, and I hit select that. Now I can send an email, and I can just free-form an email and go through and just type something that I want to tell them, or we can use what are known as templates. So if I want to select an email template, I have one that's called Past Due Account Mailer. If I click on that, it'll go ahead, it'll put all the preset wording I wanted, it'll add the subject line for me. If I want to attach a file as well from my computer, I can from here. And then I can also generate a CRM event. If I want to generate a CRM event, I can do this. I can assign it to the salesperson, and I can sit there and say, hey, this is scheduled, and what's the priority? Priority be medium. And we'll cover CRM in another video, but this is just to show you how it's tied into the whole system. So when AR is doing it, I can also copy that person as well if I wanted to. So I could do contacts, master accounts, or users if I wanted to add a user here and I wanted to find out what, John Askin's email was. I can simply click that and it'll add that in there. And now he's CC'd up here. If you notice, it's going to John Askin as well. So then when we go through, then we say, all right, I just want to send this email template. I send this out, and now the system will go through and send an email to the account. And the account would then get an email sent to them saying, The account would get the email sent to them saying, Dear Acme Builders, your account with LBM Liftoff is currently past due. Please contact the credit department. And then, so whatever wording you wanted here, it would show. So that's a quick way. From a listing page, I got a couple. I can do multiple if I wanted to and send them all an email. So that's just one of the different things we can do with inside listing pages. One of the other features in listing pages is we are able to use our unit of measure function. So if I was going to go into our sales line items, and if I go out to sales line items, and now you see it's defaulting to my negative GP the last 30 days. How did I calculate this? Again, I created a filter. Inside that filter, I named it this. I went through and I said, okay, in my time filter, I said the sales order date was in the last 30 days. And then also my advanced filter, I said my margin dollars are less than 0. So sales line items are looking at individual line items within the system that have been invoiced and creating a record for each one of those line items. So if I do a search now, we go through and now we see here are all the items that had a negative margin dollars. The other thing we can do inside filters is we can quickly, in the listing page, I'm able to sort them, ascending or descending, or by product number, so I can quickly see something wrong with felt 15. So I can look at this order, I can look at the line itself. But one of the other nice things with inside listing pages is the fact that we can export them. So anywhere when we were inside our listing pages, here's our export. And in our line items, here's our export. I could quickly create an export and send it out into a CSV file. So for example, if we were back on our master accounts one, let me go back into that. If I go into master accounts again, I had these two right here and I said, you know what, I want to send this off to the salesman in an Excel file and say, hey, take a look at these guys. But one of the things I want to include is, I also want to give them the account phone number. Or maybe I just want to send them the name, the total load, and the account phone number, but these are the ones I created from the listing page. So when we do an export, if I go to export master accounts, it comes up. Normally on export, you're going to want to leave default radios go. but one of the things we can say is, you know what, it's automatically going to check the files to export that were listed in the filter. But say I don't want to see all those. I just want to see the ones that relate to me. So I just want a master account number. I don't want today's SO'd. I want a total load. And then these weren't in it, but I want to do the phone number. So because we have a lot of check boxes and a lot of things, these are listed alphabetically. But for a quick search, one of the nice features is I can hit Control F and I get a little search box down here. And now I want to find phone number. So if I type in phone, now all the areas phone is listed as highlighted. So I just sit there and say, you know, I want to take the phone. But the other thing is I want to know who you should be talking to. So I can start typing in contact, and I've got the contact first name and the contact last name. So now, based off that filter, I've deleted a bunch of fields I didn't want to see, but I also have added a couple fields that weren't even included in the filter. And if I just hit export now, it's going to export the two records. I'm running into a problem with my Excel. What's going on? Oh, here it is. So then we open it up in Excel. In Excel, you'll see a contact first name, contact last name, master account number, what is total, you had this much over 3, total load, and the phone number. So now I could just take this and email it off to the salesman or whoever. Probably one of the most common areas, besides these fun ones I've shown, that you're going to use this is basically going to be inside product management. So that you can want to do maybe export and do prices, or export and do changes to names, descriptions, department class, fine lines. So those are the areas you can use filters and listing pages. So that's the basics of listing pages, some of the neat things they can do. One of the other ones I didn't show was on the sales line items. Is, let's say we want to do something along the lines of anything sold, let's see, sales orders in the last 60 days. And then one of the things you see here is we're going through and you see all these things, the sell quantity, but I wanted to know, what did I sell? So a lot of the systems out there will just sit there and give you the sell quantity, but say, for example, in roofing, you may see something that says 1, and you don't know if it's 1 square or 1 bundle, or if you go through and see, let me see if I can find, let's go into, I'm going to do a search. I'm going to do for a roofing department, and let's see if we get any there. All right, so here we have, down here, it's basically showing, 30, 240, 384. We don't know if that's squares, bundles. Obviously, the 240 is most likely bundles, but the 30, the 3, the 1, we don't know if that's 30 bundles or 30 square. So one of the things we can say is, hey, by the way, I want you to show me everything in my selling unit of measure. So now if you notice, that 240 changed to 80 square, so that we're able to export all of our totals in a unit of measure. So if you're doing things like rebate or reporting on how many squares a customer sold, things of that nature, you can sit there and quickly write a filter, have it show in the selling unit of measure, and then you can export that out and send it right to your customer, right to your vendor, whoever you need. So there are a lot of ways you can use filters and listings. There are ways that come up every day that you can just quickly write a listing page and get what you need, versus having to write a full-blown report. And reports we would cover in a different video. So that's everything regarding filters and listing pages. If you have any questions, please contact your salesman or customer support. Thank you.